to Talking Theater Friends. I'm Jose, and today I'm joined by the amazing Eden Espinosa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So you're doing a residency at the Green Room 42nd called Unplugged and Unplanned.
Correct.
I saw you on opening night, and nothing really seemed unplanned. Like, you were incredible.
Well, thank you. That's good.
Yeah, you spoke about how you were putting together, every night was going to be a different set list.
Correct.
And I just want you to talk me through that process. Was it like, I had a vision of you as like, kind of like Claire Danes in Homeland with like a billion like Post-its and like, what do I sing tonight?
That's awesome visual, I like that. I wish it was that organized. Yeah, I knew that I didn't want to do the same set list every week because I wanted to use this opportunity as an exercise for myself to not be precious about anything. I tend to want to make things as perfect as they can be, and to my detriment. And so I wanted to force myself out of that mindset and just keep myself on my toes. And so, yeah, most of the songs are songs that I've never performed before. And I just make a playlist every week. I had a big playlist, and then I started whittling it down, and now I send my guitar player a playlist of what I want to do. We meet the day before for an hour just to make sure we're on the same page, and then the show's the next day. And it's been really, really fun. It's worked out really well. No huge disasters has happened yet, but we still have 3 more, so you never know.
Something that I've noticed practically every time that I've seen a show in that Green Room for a second, there must be some sort of like magic thing in that room, because every time I've been there, the performers on stage get very personal and talk about their, their struggles. And I don't see that in any other cabaret or nightlife venue. I'm sorry to all the other venues. But I wonder, is it hard to be so vulnerable on stage?
For me, it's not. When I first started doing concerts years and years ago, I followed a blueprint more. I wouldn't say it was a script, but I would plan out what I wanted to say and when. I wouldn't write it down, but I'd think about it. And there was one show where I went through this whole thought process on stage that I realized that I had forgotten to wear deodorant. And I went on this whole tangent in front of the audience, and that same show, I messed up, and I stopped the band, and I was like, wait, we have to start again. And the audience just really, I got a big response from them, and they told me after. I always stay after and talk to the audience in the show and meet people if they want to. And people were just like, I love that moment, and you talked about, I hate when that happens, when I go to work and I forget that to not put on deodorant, or and so I just realized that it gives you a special connection with the audience. I think they feel like they were a part of something that just happened at that one moment. So I more and more became comfortable with sharing things, and especially at the residency, because it's once a week, so you can kind of talk about what's going on with you that week. Or one week, the second week, I've been rehearsing all week for the Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat concert. I finished rehearsal at 6:30 and my show was at 7, so I was very frazzled, and I admitted to the audience, I'm not quite in this room yet, and I need to take a breath. Can we all take a collective breath together? And we did, and it's just I want them to feel like they're as much a part of my evening as I am theirs, because they are. It's an energy exchange, you know what I mean? So it's very easy for me, and I don't know any other way now. I can't imagine doing a concert with a scripted, unless it was very specific. A concert of Edith Piaf music, and you know what I mean, or something like that, or I don't know, but it's easy for me. I enjoy it so much more.
I feel like in a parallel universe, you're some sort of philosopher, and people are practicing endorsing like the Eden Espinosa lifestyle.
Oh my God, I love that. I mean, I don't know.
You said something tonight that I saw you that it just like, you know, like it's like got stuck in my brain and I think about it every day, and I'm gonna paraphrase you. So
Sure,
I'm sorry,
that's
but
okay.
you were talking about performance and you said that whenever you had fears and you were feeling nervous or you were feeling like you couldn't do that on stage that night, that you thought of putting yourself at the service of the audience.
Yes.
And I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it sums up like so many spiritual and philosophical beliefs
Sure.
in just like giving to people.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that, and if that in any way was how you started when you were like, I want to be an artist, I want to be on stage.
Yeah. Not so much. I mean, when I was younger, I think all I wanted was attention. You know, when I was a kid, I was like super hammy, and I would just like make my parents and their friends like sit down and listen to me and my brother sing Somewhere Out There from American Tail, and I'd like drag him along and be like, no, you're gonna sing this with me, and you know, but I think it is a thought that I love, and I started doing it in auditions actually. I started really like changing my mindset at auditions of why don't I, instead of showing them what I can do, why don't I try to like show them who I am? And maybe even if I'm not right for the part and I don't get the part, maybe I can share with them my gift and they feel like, wow, that was a breath of fresh air. And that was an exercise to like get me out of what was actually happening, which was me auditioning for a job. But it's helped me even in situations that I don't particularly enjoy, say like a networking situation when you're, you know, you're at an event or you're at a party and you have to talk to people and talk about what are you doing now and what projects are you working on, and I don't particularly love that, but when I think of it as just sharing my heart and sharing a piece of me, then it's easy, it's not a problem, and I don't think of like, oh, they're just asking me because whatever reason, I don't know, I don't like the thought process as I go down on certain situations, and so regarding this business, and so it just helps me stay in a positive light, and it helps me just worry about my give instead of what I can get.
There's something that you do so well, and it's that you turn every song into your song. And
Thank you.
not the Elton John song, but you know what
Yes.
I mean. Yeah.
Good clarification.
That would be like a special skill though, right? You know, do that. And then when I saw you, you said that in the future you were going to do, you started mentioning all these artists, and you mentioned Taylor Swift, and I was like, have you done Taylor Swift yet?
I did.
I missed it. What do you do?
I did a song called Clean. Yeah.
The Imogen Heap song?
Yes.
Oh my god, I missed that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
If someone recorded it, please send it my way.
Okay, yeah. I love Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie. So there's so many songs of hers that I want to do, but that one, I've never done a cover of hers before, and that was the first one. I was like, I just love that song so much. It's hard to choose because I think she's such a brilliant songwriter. So I'm sure I'll do more.
But so are you. You're a great songwriter.
Thank you.
And I wanted to talk about that, how I love how, you know, you did, I think you did just like a couple of your songs on opening night.
Yeah.
But they fit so well with everything else.
Good,
and
good.
as a songwriter, does that take you to an even more like maybe like intimidating place, like seeing like, I'm gonna put the song that I wrote next to something that song I wrote and something that...
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I think that I just do a couple, I've only done, you know, maybe like 3 a set since we've started of my own. Because some people, you know, don't know that I have an album of originals, and that's totally fine. And so I, originally with this residency, I was gonna do themed nights. Like one night was gonna be all songs from my album Revelation. One was gonna be all like musical theater. Some was gonna be all jazz standards. And I was like, nah, I don't wanna do that. So I mixed it all up. But I don't feel intimidated putting it with somebody else, because I did it. I felt that in the writing process for a bit, and then I just had to come to terms with I'm just starting out, and I can't compare myself to people who have been doing this for years and years, and I have to think of it as like this album, these songs, it's like a little time capsule of where I was at this moment, and it'll only get better from there. So I'm very proud of that album, and I'm very proud of those songs. And that's big for me, to not sit there and beat them up and beat myself up, but because I think I did realize, like, you have to start somewhere, and I'm proud of my starting point, you know, of my on your mark, get set, go moment. So,
I think they're great. They belong with Swift and Sondheim.
Thank you. Wow, that's very kind.
I always get so excited when I get to have a fellow Latino on the show. And I, you know, in this industry, people tend to be typecast. And if someone says, like, you know, like you're like Latino, you're Black, you're Asian, like there's only a certain kind of character that they want you to play. Right. However, it's like, you were like, I don't care about that. Like, and you have played so many different types of characters that haven't, you know, like you haven't been like stuck in a box.
Right.
How have you accomplished that? Because that's like mind blowing.
Yeah, the weird thing is like I feel, you know, just like any other race, there's always stereotypes, and there's always, well, you don't look Latina, and I'm like, what does that mean? I don't understand what that means. And I've had some very interesting conversations with friends and colleagues of mine who are African American, who didn't know I was Latina, and have said things to me like, you know, for example, today when if I walk in rehearsal with red lipstick, ooh, you look really Latina today, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Well, I'm just saying, like, you know, you look, and I said, I need you to explain what that means, because we come in all different shades and colors too. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, there are, I think people just automatically think you look a certain way. Or, wow, I didn't put two and two together that you're Latina. I'm like, my last name is Espinosa. I don't understand what you mean. Well, you're just so fair, and you don't really like seem Latina, and I just don't know what that means. But yeah, it's weird because I am, you know, on the fair side, I'm either not ethnic enough or too ethnic. Never in theater, oddly enough, always for TV and film, but I think that when I was first here in New York and first coming up, like, you know, the diversity resurgence like hadn't happened yet, like in the Heights hadn't happened yet, and you know, basically Lin-Manuel hadn't happened yet, like honestly, and so it hasn't ever gotten in my way, and I think in today's day and age it's only going to help, which is great. And I hope it continues to do that for every ethnicity. So yeah, I am a proud Mexican American. Thank you very much. Yeah, and you know, and then what's crazy is like every you know, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, like every branch of you know, everyone under the umbrella has their own story of what it means to come from, or their families coming from, and you know, being Mexican American in this country and in California especially is its own thing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I can talk about it forever. I'm like starting to write a script about it, so I'm excited to tell some stories. But yes.
Ooh, I love that. 'Cause, yeah, I feel that sometimes people assume that if we're Latino, we should show up like wrapped in a tortilla, right?
Right, or
like,
I don't know. Yeah, totally, yeah. Totally.
I'm from Honduras, but I love Mexico so much, and I want you to brag about Mexican food from California for a little bit.
Well, it's untouchable, first of all. You know, there are a lot of Mexicans on the West Coast because we're so close to Mexico, so the food is insane.
So good.
And it was funny because when I first moved here, we had ideas of having my grandmother like open a little like taqueria over here because the Mexican food in New York is not great. And people are always like, how come there's not good Mexican food here? I'm like, there's not a lot of Mexicans here. There's more like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, and you know, because Mexico's way over there. It's gotten better though, in New York, but in California, you can toss a piece of paper and find a really good Mexican food.
Oh, that's tacos there.
Yeah, insane. My favorite.
Have you found like any secret, well, I mean, they wouldn't be secret if you told me, right? But have any like hidden spots in New York that you love? Because I'm always on the search for a great taco.
What's the new place that's like, there's one near Chelsea Market, but it's on 43rd?
Los
How about the Harry Potter place?
Across the street from there.
Oh, they're good.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, they're in front of Harry Potter on Chelsea.
No, and I originally had them at the one near, is it Los Tacos? Okay, so yeah, they're good. And that line is always out the door at the one across from Harry Potter. They're good.
Okay.
They're the best like street tacos that I've had in New York.
And you're going to be going back home to California for a little bit because you're doing Lempicka.
Yes.
You sang a song from Lempicka at your show and it was so breathtaking.
Thank you.
And can you tell us a little bit about what the story behind the musical is? Because I feel like not many people are familiar with Lempicka's work.
That's true.
And as you pointed out, that she's just as brilliant as Picasso and all those other
Yes,
male
yes. Yeah, the musical's called Lempicka. It's about Tamara de Lempicka. She was an Art Deco artist. And one of the first women who really made a name for herself at that time. But her life is just an incredible story of survival and how she started painting to survive and saving her husband from they escaped the Bolshevik Revolution and then, moving into escaping again from the Nazis. It's a very dense story. There's a lot to cover, but it's very relevant in many, many ways today. She was also notorious for just behaving however she wanted to. And she was known for, having female lovers as well as she had her husband as well. So that's definitely an aspect in the show. And Rachel Chapman is directing, which we are so lucky. And it's a female playwright and lyricist, but the composer, the creative team in general is just extraordinary. And I'm super excited. We've been working on it for a few years now, and we were at Williamstown a couple years ago, and people are excited. The music is extraordinary, the story is extraordinary, this woman was extraordinary, and so I'm honored to bring her to life a little bit more.
You know how I found out about Lempicka for the first time? I had never heard about her, but Madonna's a huge fan of hers.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. She's one of the biggest collectors of her work. I know we want Madonna to come see the show, obviously, at some point if we come back to New York, especially. But yeah, and her, was it Express Yourself video was, like the aesthetic of that video was very much after Lempicka's aesthetic style. So yeah, very cool. Jack Nicholson's another huge collector of her work as well. So yeah.
Can you imagine if Jack and Madonna came to it?
I mean, it would be amazing. It would be amazing.
When people think about your work, they often think about Alphaba, and the people who saw your Falsettos obviously think about Trina, and obviously people think about Maureen. And Lempicka's going to be your chance to create a part, an original part, that then in the future they're going to be like, this is Eden Espinosa's creation.
Yeah.
What's that process like? Has it been, exciting? Is it different than playing a part that people know other actors for having created? Yeah,
it's very different. I did it, opportunities like this don't come around often. You'll have a lot of opportunities to do readings and stuff, but to see it through even this far is rare. And I originated one other role called Brooklyn 15 years ago. And it's, it's different in the sense that it's tailor-made for you. And you have input and you have, things are written around your voice and things are, you know, once a writer gets to know you, even in scenes and stuff, they start like just bringing your essence and things that you've brought to the character into the fabric of the piece, which is, I mean, it's an honor. And to see something from its inception all the way through, hopefully a Broadway run, is a gift. And then if it's successful and it continues and you're eventually replaced, you know, there's only gonna be one original, which is great. It's also, you know, you get to put your own stamp on things when you take over for somebody, but it's just not the same. You know, it's like putting on a suit that was made for somebody else. Like, it can still fit you and they can tailor it to fit you, but you'll still like see the creases, or you'll still see the like thread marks on there. But if it's like handmade to you, it fits every curve of your body, you know what I mean? So I feel like I use that analogy a lot when it comes to originating a role, and yeah, I hope that we get to come and bring it back here, because I love the piece very, very much, and I just want audiences to know this woman more.
I wonder if there's, you know, this sounds like a very strange question, and I'm thinking it's coming out of my mouth, but have you found any parallels or any things that you've been able to borrow from her paintings that you have incorporated into the way that you perform? Like maybe, I don't know, borrow the texture or the the warmth of her work.
It's crazy because her use of color is just so stunning. And a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half, there was Christie's was having an auction, and I found out about it through a friend of mine, and I didn't know that you could just go to Christie's and like look around. And so I went, and just to see them up close and to see the brush strokes, even though one of her things she always said was never let them see your brush strokes. But to see, you know, I've read several books on hers, and, you know, knowing as a painter, like, you let each layer dry before you come back. So like seeing the different layers, and it's just weird to look at them and go, she made this, like she touched it, she made, you know what I mean? But I think everything that Tamara did was deliberate, whether it was out of necessity, or you know, I had to do this in order to survive, or I chose to do this because I wanted to. Even in her use of color, everything is very deliberate, and she wanted to stand out. She wanted a style that when people saw it, they would go, that's Lempicka. She has a phrase that, like, I don't live within the margins of society. And so those type of things I keep with me every time we have a new draft, because I have to. You know, I want her to be proud, and her family's, and you know, we've met her granddaughter and great-granddaughter, and they've come to the show, they've come to readings, and it's, you know, I want them to see her up there. And they've been very complimentary of me and my interpretation, which I'm so grateful for. But I talk to her all the time. You know, it sounds weird, but I want her to be there, because it's important, because not a lot of people are aware and know her, and I want them to, and I think she always wanted that too. So yeah.
I think that all of us who love theater are like slightly masochistic, because we know that it's like such an ephemeral art form, right? And if we're not there and we missed it, that's it. Yeah. But painting, obviously, you can go to museums and see Tamara de Lempicka's work and all the other great artists. If you could freeze a performance that you saw on stage and have it like hanging as a painting for people to go experience it time and time again, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so there was a few years, it was more than a few years ago, Patty and Mandy did their Broadway show, the two of them, what was it, The Evening with Patty and Mandy? I don't remember what the thing was, but it was on Broadway. It was Patty LuPone and Mandy Patinkin, and it was just them doing the concert, basically. It was a masterclass. I would freeze that. I would also freeze Alice Ripley in Next to Normal. Was just like, I still think about it. It just was unreal. Those are the two that I have seen live in person that I would freeze. There's others from past that like, you know, that I haven't seen that I'd be like, ooh, I wish somebody froze that so I could see it in real life, but those are the two that I would pick.
And just to finish, I have like tons of kids who would murder me if they knew that I spoke to Cassandra.
Oh!
And I didn't ask her anything about
Oh, that's
Disney.
so amazing.
And you know, Tangled is so beautiful. But I love the fact that you started working at Disneyland.
Yeah.
So now getting to voice an actual Disney character is like coming entirely full circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the most fun about doing Tangled?
I mean, to be able to create that character was the gift. I mean, I worked with the park for years, and throughout my career, I've been able to do bucket list moments for Disney. You know, I recorded the soundtrack for the fireworks show one year that ran for 5 years there, and so that was a huge thing of mine because just working in the park, you wanted to be that voice in the sky, you know. Working at the park period was a dream of mine growing up in Anaheim, you know. So to originate a Disney character for an animated series and have, you know, all the original voices there from the movie and Alan Menken and Glenn Slater writing new music for you, it was just, you know, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was 5 years of my life, and I just, I will forever be grateful because it was just a huge gift, and it's badass, you know. I mean, can I say badass?
You can curse and
okay.
That's very okay. Compared to the things I say here. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just super cool. Voiceover work, I've fallen in love with that, with the art form and with the medium, and it's very different from anything else. And it is definitely an art form and something that you have to get used to. It can be very, very tedious, but it's just fun. The challenge is fun, capturing moments without having to rely on your face. And so that is a challenge at times, but I'm so proud of the entire series. We just aired our last episode yesterday. So we'll forever live on Disney Plus, which I'm happy. But yeah, I'm so grateful for the opportunity, and I love Cassandra. I think she's amazing, and I had the best time bringing her to life.
And you get to have like a little action figure.
I mean, yes, I have a Lego, I have an action figure, I have a Tsum Tsum, I have plush doll. I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal.
I love it. Would you like to invite our viewers to come see you at the Green Room 42nd
Yes.
During March? And then for our viewers in California or people who want to fly, who should fly to California for Lempicka, can you also
Yes. So come on down to the Green Room 42, March. Well, we have one this March 6th, March 15th, March 22nd, or La Jolla Playhouse for Lempicka, mid-May to the end of June. Come on down.
Eden, muchas gracias. It's been a true pleasure having you. And remember, theater is more fun when you bring an amiga.
Yes!
Bye.